Hey guys and gals out there in Vinyl Appreciation Society land, this is Logan and I'm here again with another Amoeba Pickups, and I'd like to show you what I picked up last time I was there with Will, who's also on Vinyl Appreciation Society. So I think you might see these videos back to back or some variation thereof, and also another video showing in-store footage of us fooling around and picking out stuff. So here we go. The first record I got was the soundtrack for Once Upon a Time in America, scored by Ennio Morricone. Yes, fantastic score. A score he probably should have been nominated for back when the movie came out. I guess that would be the 1985 Academy Awards, but the movie was butchered upon its American release from its 219 minute or 200 maybe 7-minute runtime. So they cut it down to 100 minutes, which really cut out the whole flashback portion. But anyway, here's the cover of the film. This is a famous picture. There's been tons of pictures taken here. I believe this is the Brooklyn Bridge in the background. I hope that's the Brooklyn Bridge. I think it would be. It makes sense that it would be, since the film takes place in the 1920s during Prohibition and then up until the 60s. But anyway, here we go. Once Upon a Time in America, Ennio Morricone. The movie was directed by Sergio Leone, came out in 1984, and there we are. The next, it's a dirty table. I'm gonna move this chair in because the table is a bit on the dirty side, but here we go. And the next one is Thief. By the soundtrack was was by Tangerine Dream, and Thief came out, was this 84 as well? Yes, 1981? Dang, I didn't know it came out. So 1981 Thief came out. Tangerine Dream did the soundtrack, and there we go, there's the famous welding goggles and the sparks from the welding breaking into the safe. Here's the back cover. Tangerine Dream did the soundtrack, and one funny thing about this particular score, I remember wanting to buy the Criterion Blu-ray back in the day, but it was just never one of those that I picked up during the half-off sale that I usually have at Barnes & Noble, where I usually go pick up the stuff during the half-off sale. And I just never got around to doing it, but then at a movie theater that has now since closed in Los Angeles, they were playing a double feature of Thief and Manhunter, and I was like, okay, Manhunter's fine, but you know, I finally get to see Thief and what it's all about. So I'm all excited, and Thief starts, and I believe it opened with it's been a while since I've seen it, it opened with the whole safe cracking sequence and the sparks and whatever. Okay, yes, we're into the movie. But then, you know, ultimately, the thing that happened was that I was very disappointed with the film. I just don't think the film is that good, in my honest opinion. But then Manhunter came on. I wasn't expecting much from that. That was an absolute masterpiece, and I believe that might have been Michael Mann's third film or second film. Anyway, it was just above and beyond Thief, in my opinion. Thief wasn't just that good to me, and I was very much let down. But the soundtrack is awesome by Tangerine Dream. You know, especially when he's cracking in the safe and you hear that music going, and it's sort of that intense, especially during the last heist. It's a heist movie, 1981, James Caan. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But that's the soundtrack by Tangerine Dream, and on to the next one. Here we have the Terminator score. Actually, this is a soundtrack/score type of deal, where side one's the sort of score from the movie, and side B is the sort of pop songs that were used in the movie. And Brad Fiedel did the score for the film. There's also 5 songs on side 2 from the pop songs that were used in the film. My favorite track from side 1 has to be Tunnel Chase. This absolutely astounding. My favorite from this movie. But here we go, Terminator. Awesome. This is an original pressing. I believe there's an expanded score with the complete score that was used in the actual film, but this one they broke it up and just put the sort of, maybe, I don't know who picked the selections for this, but there's some selections from Brad Fiedel, just not the whole thing, and the other side, like I said, is just the pop songs that were used in the film. So here we go. So then we have Wanderlust by Mike Mainieri, excuse me. I actually listened to this today before I came over here. And this is more of a traditional jazz. I found it very much similar to Jean-Luc Ponty, the style, the ethereal nature of the album, and sort of the wondrous quality that it exudes. And of course, it's called Wanderlust. It's a very 80s picture, this sort of crocheted sweater or coat that he's wearing and, you know, smoking, probably just composed maybe the title track of the song, who knows, but anyway, here we go, and here's the back, thinking about something in black and white. See, very ethereal. Look at these windows and the black and white and just sort of gradient in the middle to separate him from the background. But anyway, here we go. Very 80s. Yes, very pink. There we go. Mike Manieri, Wanderlust. And also, one other thing I like to say, at Amoeba they have always this sort of, I like to call it the cheapo jazz section, where everything is usually about $2 to $10. And I always, if they have what I want, I always like to look for a lot of synthy type music, or the jazz that uses a lot of synth in it. And they'll have the other jazz there, but that was one of the ones I bought, and that was $1.99. But you know, usually I'm only paying about $2 for a lot of them, and there's a lot of good stuff that I always find there. So I always look forward to going to that section when I'm there. The next thing I bought was Michael McDonald, No Looking Back. There we go. Graying in this picture from 1985. This was, yes, 1985. No Looking Back. Good album, solid album. I find it's funny about Michael McDonald. I like to compare him with Christopher Cross because he sang background vocals on Christopher Cross's first album. I don't think it's called, I mean, the song was Sailing, but is the album Sailing? I think it's Christopher Cross, but the one with the flamingo and the green. Anyway, everyone has seen that album, but I just find it funny that Michael McDonald sang backgrounds, and when he finally got his chance to do his first album, they sort of got better and better. And as Christopher Cross, you know, went on and made new music, I'd say it wasn't that the albums were necessarily bad. They just weren't as good as Christopher Cross's first album, which was just an absolute masterpiece in my opinion. And there was always maybe one or two songs from each subsequent album that was good. So there's that, and not to take anything away from Christopher Cross, but just in that comparison, Michael McDonald's first album is not very good in my opinion, but they get better and better, especially by the 90s. He pretty much knew what he was doing. So anyway, I think I have 3 Christopher Cross albums total. So now I have 1 Michael McDonald album. And on to the next one. The next one was Passport Looking Through. And this is sort of a 70s jazz album. Came out in 1974. Actually, and I actually really like this album. Usually when I go find albums and, you know, I'm looking for stuff to get out, I'll have my iPod and my headphones just so I can preview the song, because sometimes, you know, you don't have to blind buy anything. You can always preview everything. Everything's online, so you can find it. Usually YouTube or iTunes, and in my case, will be on there. Most things will be on there, but anyway, I found this. I liked it. I like the, what was the synth on here? There was a Moog synthesizer, I can't say that, used. Yeah, so I guess that was the only synth used on here. An electric piano and a mellotron, whatever that instrument is. But yeah, and I think this has the Atlantic old school label. No, this is Atco. What did I say, Atlantic? Atlantic Recording, but interesting label, Atco. The Atlantic Group. So there we are. Moving on, cool cover. Very 70s cover, by the way. So mid 70s, I like it. And added to my jazz collection. The next one I bought was Busta Rhymes Anarchy for $5. So usually when I go to the rap section at Amoeba, I have my sections that I go to. And the rap section is probably the quickest section that I go through, because I'm looking for #1 albums by Bone Thugs and Harmony, or old school pressings of old albums. Usually I'll look at DMX, or in this case I just happen to have, you know, stopped by the Busta Rhymes section because it was right by Bone Thugs and Harmony. But I found this Anarchy, and funny thing about this record, this is actually a double LP. The whole album split over 2. I believe the album's over an hour. But this was from 2000. My mom actually bought me this on CD back in the day for my birthday. But she she bought me the clean version from Walmart, and I think I, started the disc in my CD player and listened to it, and then I believe it was the intro where I started hearing the sort of pauses or the bleeps. I think on those early days they added bleeps to the music, which it kind of ruined the music, maybe for that reason, as opposed to it just being not listenable. Maybe the beeps was, but I'm not completely sure. But anyway, my mother bought me that back in the day, and I don't think I ever listened to the CD. I still have it, but now I can actually listen to what the artist wanted to do, and that's that. And those funny thing about those clean versions is that I think those are actually more rare than the sort of, uncut versions or whatever you want to do, the uncensored version. So the next one that I got was Carnes. Sorry. It's like an N or an O and R. But anyway, here it is, Barking at Airplanes. And I listened to this today, actually. And I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but here we are. I actually have her first album with Betty Davis Eyes. That's a good album. Inherited that from my grandfather. But here's her 1985 album, Barking at Airplanes, and there's some saxophone solos on here, and a lot of guitar solos, more guitar solos than saxophone solos, but here we are. There's that one. And the next one I have is a Quarter Flash. I actually didn't get to listen to this vinyl, but I listened to this actually on the way over here in my car. And I like this a lot. I compare it to Carnes. It's very similar to one another, I think. A lot of guitar solos, a lot of saxophone solos, and I like the poppiness of this album. I really like this. I also there's where the Geffen Records logo was. Another story for another time, but what was I gonna say? I really like this album. I think I'll actually listen to this again. I don't think I'll listen to this again anytime soon, maybe in the way future. But this, I think I can have in rotation every once in a while. I really like this album, and it's much more my style. And I compare it to kind of Heart and Pat Benatar as well. It kind of has those vibes, but maybe a little more poppy. Yeah. And the next one I have is T. Labatt's Storytime. This is an awesome album. This is just like synth jazz. This is synth from start to finish, and it's a pretty short album. It's only like 26 minutes or so. But I just wanted to look at some of the instruments that were used on here. It just says keyboards, not the actual... Doesn't say what was used. Not on here either. Okay. But anyway, very synthy to me. I actually quite like this. I was actually listening to this while I was doing some writing, so I had to turn it down because it was late at night and the not trying to be a a-hole to my neighbors. But here we go, T. Labatt Storytime. This was pretty good, and this is another $1.99 record at Amoeba, and it's awesome. I think it's awesome. What year did this come out? 86. I think it holds up in my book, and I like it. Then the next one I have is Mark Sherman, A New Balance. And I mean, I just looked at this album cover, and there's 3 different synths on here with, of course, a DX7 on the top. These aren't all DX7s, but some of the... show the back. Some of the synths that were used were the Vibe interface. Vibe interface to DX7, which was the DX7 was a synth, but the Vibe interface, you can plug modules onto the back and things like that to get different effects and other type of synth sounds besides keyboard effects, modulating through the I don't know what you would call it, the interface within the keyboard itself. A Juno 60, a Prophet 5, and of course the DX7. There's also something that says a synthesizer bass. So I don't know if that's an actual instrument or if it's just a module that I can plug into another keyboard like the DX7. But anyway, this was pretty awesome. I judged this book by its cover, and the book did not disappoint. In this case, the LP did not disappoint. So there we go. What year did this come out? This was another 86. So we have two 86ers right here, and they were both great. And finally, so this is not a record, but something I found in the Laserdisc section, another section that I go to at Amoeba in the movie section. And this is, what was the name of this film? The East is Red, Part 2. So I was looking for Part 1, but they didn't have it. But this looks pretty awesome. From Golden Cinema City Video Distribution Limited. Yeah, so I guess the company would be Golden Cinema City Video. But I was trying to look for Part 1, didn't have Part 1, unfortunately. Like I say, this is a Laserdisc. Is that shiny in the camera? Yep, I can see the reflection. It's pretty shiny. Anyway, there that is. So, speaking of Laserdiscs, I kind of look for sort of foreign imports now as opposed to the American movies. So the main thing I'm looking for is sort of horror. Pretty much any foreign film. And mostly Japanese pressings with the obi strips on the side. Those are my holy grails, which I don't always tend to find, but I showed you the back for some reason again. This actually reminds me of Tetsuya Nakadai and Akira Kurosawa's Ran. So anyway, this looks pretty cool. So I don't even know what this is about, but I assume it's some kind of martial arts film. Epic martial arts film. Look at these. Those look like boats, but I think this is an island, but there's the sea, and they're sort of superimposed over it. So those are my Amoeba pickups, and I hope to see you guys and gals next time.